of Bolivia. Bolivia is now called the plurinational state of Bolivia. Hugo Chavez, president of Venezuela, at the UN General Assembly at a press conference, noted that when he was a member of a military mission, when he was a Venezuelan officer, went to Guatemala, and he personally witnessed Guatemalan special forces systematically planning the extermination of the Mayan Indians. And he realized these are my people that they're massacring. In Venezuela today, this is not Columbus Day. It's called the Day of Indigenous Resistance. And I think we should look to the Latin Americans more in how they treat this day rather than celebrate the life and the arrival, discovery of America when there were millions of people living here of Christopher Columbus, who certainly I don't think deserves a holiday, and many people agree with that.
And what about Colombia? Does Colombia have some ties to Christopher Columbus?
Well, Colombia is, of course, named after Columbus, and when you look at most of the Latin American countries, Colombia today is basically a narco-fascist state where President Obama is planning on establishing 7 military bases. Basically, the FARC rebel group gets a lot of its support from the indigenous population, and they have been massacred systematically by the right-wing paramilitaries who have been linked to President Uribe of Colombia.
Well, it's certainly an interesting thing to think about how much of this holiday has been commercialized and how much of it has to really do with history. But, Kevin, for now, it's back to you.
Yeah, there's certainly food for thought, isn't it? Pretty sure talking to investigative journalist, RT contributor Wayne Madsen. There's always something interesting that Wayne's got to tell us, isn't it? Thanks very much.
Yeah, so that's just another video clip just telling you how many people are aware of the fact of this tyrant, this devil, Christopher Columbus, coming over here to the Americas, which I said earlier, stated earlier that in Revelation, the 20th chapter, that's that beast that was bound for 1,000 years that was loose for a short season. And it started with him. He was a key name, all right? So we got one more. Now, this right here is video on, this is from the Huffington Post. And basically, there's claims that Christopher Columbus is a so-called Jew. All right? So there goes the so-called Jew, the scum of the earth.
I'm Megan Murphy for the Huffington Post. Was Christopher Columbus secretly Jewish, exploring the seas for a new home for his people? The Daily Mail reports. Scholars have claimed there is compelling evidence that suggests Christopher Columbus was secretly Jewish and that he hid his true faith to survive the Spanish Inquisition. In a further revelation, historians believe the real motive behind his historic quest was to find a new homeland for Jews who were persecuted and run out of Spain. During the Inquisition, the Catholic Church led a campaign to convert or kill Jews, so it makes sense Columbus would keep his identity secret. In an opinion piece for CNN, contributor Charles Garcia bolsters the theory, pointing to curious requests he says Columbus made in his will. Two of his wishes: tithe 1/10 of his income to the poor and provide an anonymous dowry for poor girls, are part of Jewish customs. He also decreed to give money to a Jew who lived at the entrance of the Lisbon Jewish Quarter. On those documents, Columbus used a triangular signature of dots and letters that resembled inscriptions found on gravestones of Jewish cemeteries in Spain. He ordered his heirs to use the signature in perpetuity. The History Channel has taken hold of this idea as well.
Maximilian de Lafayette claims that Columbus's shipmate, Pedro Gutierrez, reported him to the Inquisition after hearing Columbus describe the lights in the sky as resembling the Jewish menorah.
De Lafayette says there are secret records of Columbus's persecution. They're just locked up tight in the Vatican. For the Huffington Post, I'm Megan Murphy.
Okay, so, yeah, the last few seconds of that video clip, they mentioned the lights that he saw in the heavens, and that's supposed to be St. Elmo's fire, which had to be UFOs that came down, because the Most High really guided Columbus to come over here to the so-called Americas. All right, but they had mentioned that he was supposed to be a secret Jew, and we have a lot more documentation pointing to the fact that he was a so-called Jew. Now he couldn't openly say he was a so-called Jew because, you know, he was trying to get around the Spanish Inquisition, which we're going to read about that right now.
Okay, this is from Wikipedia. It says, Spanish Inquisition, the tribunal of the Holy Office of the Inquisition, commonly known as the Spanish Inquisition, was a tribunal established in 1480 by Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella I of Castile. It was intended to maintain Catholic orthodoxy in their kingdoms and to replace the medieval Inquisition, which was under papal control. It became the most substantive of the three different manifestations of the wider Christian Inquisition, along with the Roman Inquisition and Portuguese Inquisition. The Inquisition was originally intended in large part to ensure the orthodoxy of those who converted from Judaism and Islam. This regulation of the faith of the newly converted was intensified after the royal decrees issued in 1492 and 1501, ordering Jews and Muslims to convert or leave. Various motives have been proposed for the monarch's decision to fund the Inquisition, such as increasing political authority, weakening opposition, suppressing conversos, profiting from confiscation of the property of convicted heretics, reducing social tensions, and protecting...
Meaning if you don't convert to Roman Catholicism or Catholicism, they're going to take your property.
Right.
And then they might, you know, torture you and then banish you or put you to death. So that was that one religion. You know, what they're going to do, they plan on doing that over here in Babylon the Great. You know, one system, you know, which, you know, goes hand in hand with the mark of the beast. Because there's going to be one way to live. You know, do it their way or die, you know.
Reducing social tensions and protecting the kingdom from the danger of a fifth column.
Now jump down to torture. Yeah, go ahead.
This is the book of Job, chapter 24, verse 1. Why seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty, do they that know him not see his days? Some remove the landmarks, they violently take away flocks and feed thereof. They drive away the ass of the fatherless, they take the widows of ox for pledge, they turn the needy out of the way, the poor of the earth hide themselves together. Behold, as wild asses in the desert go they forth to their work, rising betimes for a prey, the wilderness.
That's your rush hour, and they rushing to get to work.
It says, the wilderness yieldeth food for them and for their children. They reap every one his corn in the field, and they gather the vintage of the wicked. They cause the naked to lodge without clothing, that they have no covering in the cold. They are wet with the showers of the mountains, and embrace the rock for want of a shelter. They pluck the fatherless from the breast, and take a pledge of the poor. They cause them to go naked without clothing, and they take away the sheaf from the hungry, which make oil within their walls, and tread their winepresses, and suffer thirst. Men groan from out of the city, and the soul of the wounded crieth out, yet the Most High layeth not folly to them. You know, like Elder Torah was saying, you know, they took everybody's stuff, you know.
All right, go ahead, Art.
This is under the section called torture. It says, as with all European tribunals of the time, torture was employed. The Spanish Inquisition, however, engaged in it far less often and with greater care than other courts. Historian Henry Kamen contends that some popular accounts of the Inquisition, those that describe scenes of uncontrolled sadistic torture, are not based in truth. Kamen argues that...
They're trying... Come on, man.
Yeah.
The fucking devil. They were nice when they were torturing people. Yeah. They're humane. This is a humane form of torture. The devil always tries to water shit down.
Kamen argues that torture was only ever used to elicit information or confession, not as a punitive punishment.
Today they call it enhanced interrogation. You don't know we're just going to interrogate the guy. You know, the enhanced form. That means they're going to torture your ass.
Yeah. Modern scholars have determined that torture was used in 2% of the cases, and in less than 1% of the cases was it used